Hi, everyone. I'm Jan with the Prince George County Memorial Library System. Thank you for joining us for another Children's Readers Advisory. I hope you have something to write with because I have 17 really good books to tell you about. And yes, I said 17. My first one is called Good Enough by Jen Petro-Roy. And this is another own voice novel. Ms. Petro-Roy is an eating disorder survivor and activist. The realistic depiction of inpatient eating disorder treatment sets the stage for a moving story about a girl who has to fight herself to survive. 12-year-old Riley used to be an inspiring artist, a runner, a sister, and a friend. Now she's in an inpatient treatment center for anorexia. If Riley wants to get her life back, she needs to deal with emotions she prefers to push away. As she begins to recover, her roommate at the treatment center starts to break the rules. Can Riley stay strong or get pulled back into the destructive behavior? And again, this book is called Good Enough by Jen Petro-Roy. Okay. On to my next book. It's called Anna on the Edge by A.J. Sass. Now, A.J. Sass is a transgender male who identifies as non-binary using the pronouns of he, they. And as you talk about this story, you'll understand why I mentioned that. 12-year-old Anna Marie Jin, the reigning ice skating champion, is not a frilly dress kind of girl. When the new ice skating season starts and she needs to skate as a princess, Anna's not happy. When she meets Hayden, a transgender boy new to the rink, and he mistakes Anna Marie for a boy, she doesn't correct him. Anna Marie finds comfort in this boyish identity when Hayden is around. As time goes on, Anna starts to wonder about her own identity. Is she a girl, a boy, or non-binary? As Hayden and her friendship develops, Anna realized that it's tricky juggling two different identities on one slippery slope of ice. Anna must decide whether telling everyone the truth is worth the risk of years of hard work and sacrifice. And again, this book is called Anna on the Edge by A.J. Sass. Okay, on to my next story. Unplugged. Unplugged by Gordon Corman. Do you love your iPhone and laptop? How'd you feel if you had to go 3 months without them? That's what happens to a rich, spoiled kid, Jet Baranov, when his father sends him off to a wellness place called Oasis. Not only does he have to unplug, Jet has to eat grainy vegetable patties and participate in activities with the other kids. Jet has always gotten what he wants, but now he and some other kids find a baby lizard, which they keep secret from the adults. Talking about the adults, Jet notices that they're acting strangely and decides to go and get to the bottom of whatever's going on. The only problem, the other kids don't trust him and they're not sure about believing him. Will Jet have to go solo and get into the bottom of what's happening? Will any of the other kids help him? Only one way to find out. You're going to have to read this book by one of my favorite authors, Unplugged by Gordon Corman. Okay. Now, on to my next story, which is called Winterborn Home for Mayhem and Mystery by Allie Carter. This is a sequence to Winterborn Home for Vengeance and Valor, but you don't have to read the first to understand and be able to follow this story. We have 5 orphans, 1 mansion, and no rules because their guardian, Gabriel Winterborn, a sword-wielding vigilante, has gone missing. Now, the 5 of them must find him fast because no one is safe. And Ms. Carter has written many other good books, both in children's and teens. And again, the name of this book is Winterborn Home for Mayhem and Mystery. My next book is sorry, I'm so slow here. Okay. Closer to Nowhere by Ellen Hopkins. I like what Ms. Hopkins wrote on her dedication book page. This book is dedicated to every kid who struggles to fit in. Each of you is unique with your own special gifts and challenges. Share your gifts, conquer your challenges. Walk proudly, shine your light. The world is a better place because you're in it. And I think we all need to hear that, whatever our age is. So let's see. Hannah seems to have all she wants: 2 supportive parents, excellent at gymnastics, well liked at school. Then things slowly start to change when her cousin Cal comes to live with them after his mother dies and his father goes to prison. Cal tells half-truths because he likes to be dramatic. He likes to prank Hannah and seems the reason Hannah's parents are fighting more. Yet Cal only wants to fit in without letting his guard down and getting hurt. So let's see if Cal and Hannah can get along, and hopefully her parents won't be headed for divorce court. And then the name of this book once more is Closer to Nowhere by Ellen Hopkins. Okay. My next book is called J.D. and the Great Barber Battle. And you notice it's the letters, the initials J is in Jan and D is in Delight. So, and this story is by J, the initial J Dillard. Mr. Dillard is himself a master barber who started cutting his own hair at age 10 and then professionally in 1999. This is his first book in a series. And this also happens to be what we call our first chapter books. What you'll notice on this is that the words are a little bit bigger. There's more white space, and there still are some pictures. The day before 3rd grade, J.D. gets his first haircut. The problem? Mom does a haircut and his hair doesn't look good when she's done. After many insults from classmates at school, J.D. decides to fix his hair himself. The result? Great. Now, when one of his friends tries to cut his own hair, J.D. fixes his friend's hair. Now, all J.D.'s friends want him to do their hair. The problem? Henry Jr. from the only barber shop in town sees him as competition and threatens to go to the health department because obviously J.D. at 9 years old, doesn't have a license to cut hair. How should JD solve this problem? After all, he's making money from haircuts, and JD does not want to give up the money. Read this first chapter book to see if JD can continue to keep his little business afloat. And again, this book is called JD and the Great Barber Battle. Okay, so now on to the next book. Okay, so this is called Scaredy Cat by James Patterson and Chris Rabenstein. And yes, for those of you who don't know, James Patterson does write children's books. And he has a lot of other good books for kids. When two cats finally get adopted from a rescue shelter, they finally have their forever home. Or do they? Pasha and Poop. Yes, the name comes from accidentally missing the litter box. They think they have life made in the shade. Certainly seems that way until the ghost named Scaredy Cat comes into the picture. Scaredy Cat demands the two cats, like all the other cats in the area, follow his rules. Do Pasha and Poop do that? No. The two cats are stubborn and rebellious. Now they must get all the other cats to help figure out who Scaredy Cat is and how they can end Scaredy Cat's mischief for good. And I like the message of how our fears can get in the way of our dreams. So, and again, this is called Scaredy Cat by James Patterson and Chris Rabenstein. Okay. On to my next story, which is The Magic in Changing Your Stars by Leah Henderson. And Ms. Henderson is a children's Africana book novel author, and this book was a finalist for the Golden Kite Award put out by the Society of Children's Books Writers and Illustrations. And this also happens to be another book about overcoming our fears. Can Allie Benjamin Lane change his fate and those whom he loves by traveling back to the year 1939? Let's see. Allie believes he can win the part of the Scarecrow in the play The Wiz, but his fear gets the best of him. Feeling defeated, he turns to his grandfather, who has a pair of shoes once owned by the famous dancer Bill Bojangles Robinson. When Allie tries on these shoes, he is whisked back to Harlem of the 1930s. There, Allie meets his street dancing grandfather. But what is Allie to do? If he changes the past, will he be able to get back to the here and now and still find himself? This book features a cast of all African-American characters and contains many references to Black culture and history. So let's take a journey and find out how things work out for Allie and his family. So, again, this book is called The Magic in Changing Your Stars by Leah Henderson. I can get the glare out. There we go. Okay, on to my next book. This book is called Fenway and Hattie in the Wild. Oh, gosh, sorry, it's so glary. And this book is by Victoria J. Coe. Now, even though this book is part of a series, each book stands alone, meaning you don't have to read them in order to understand each particular book. When Hattie starts talking about school, or as Fen spells the word Skool, and Fen's a dog. I'm sorry. When Hattie starts talking about school, something new happens. Fenny, her dog, and their family get along with other families, go on a camping trip. This gives Hattie a chance to fit in before she starts her new school. Yet, all is not as it seems. One of the kids starts bossing everyone around, and his dog starts doing the same to the other dogs. How will Hattie and Fenway find their way to stand up for themselves? After all, they don't mind following, but they want to lead too sometimes. And again, this book is called Fenway and Hattie in the Wild by Victoria J. Coe. Okay, now on to my next book, which is called Ghosted by Michael Fry. I found myself laughing out loud as I was reading this book. Larry is the type of kid who can fade into the background easily. His best friend Grim? No. Poor Grim then suddenly dies when trying to save a cat during a thunderstorm. But Grim comes back to haunt Larry, who, per Grim, needs to come out of the background, and they need to finish their to-do list. So the two of them start pulling hilarious pranks and shenanigans. They find the most scariest thing to do is say goodbye. So if you want a laugh out loud book, you have found the right one. Ghosted by Michael Fry. Okay. My next book is Some Places More Than Others by Renee Watson. Miss Watson has won a Newbery Honor and Coretta Scott King Author Award and started a nonprofit called I Too Art Collection, which is housed in the Harlem brownstone where Langston Hughes lived and created his work. Amora lives in Oregon, but belongs to visit her father's family in New York City, or to be more specific, Harlem. Yet, she fears she'll never get the chance because her father hasn't talked to his father since her birth. And on top of that, her mother refuses to let Amora visit anyway. But when Amora finally gets to Harlem, is it what she expects? Can her father and grandfather heal their broken relationship? Can she become friends with her cousins? And will she feel disappointed as she sightsees in New York City? And the name again of this book is Some Places More Than Others by Renee Watts. Okay, now on to my next story called The Total Eclipse of Nestor Lopez by Adriana Cuvaz. And Miss Cuvaz is a first-generation Cuban-American and won a Cora Belpre Award, which is given out yearly to Latinx writers and illustrators whose work best portrays, affirms, and celebrates the Latinx culture experience in an outstanding work of literature for children and youth. So, Ali Nestor wants to live in one place for more than a few months and dinner with his father, who's in the military. When Nestor and his mom moved to live with his father's mother, he keeps to himself and obviously can't let anyone know he can communicate with animals. Soon animals start disappearing and Nestor's grandmother becomes a prime suspect. As Nestor investigates the disappearance, he finds a person responsible, a witch. Can he help out his grandmother and make friends who will help him take down this witch to prove his grandmother's innocence? Yeah. As in with all the other books I'm telling you about, yeah, you have to read the book to find out. And again, this is called The Total Eclipse of Nestor Lopez by Adriana Cuvaz. So let's see here, on to my next book. Cues to the Universe, sorry. Hold that glare. Clues to the Universe by Christina Lee. On the surface, Ro and Benji are completely different. Benji loves comic books and hates science. Ro, well, she likes science and hates comic books. What do they have in common? Their fathers are absent. Ro is still reeling from her father's unexpected death, and Benji's father left years ago. No one even knows where he is. Ro and Benji end up working together in science because the teacher puts them together. Yet they become friends and face bullying, grief, and their differences while Ro tries to help Benji find his father. What could be her motive? And after all this time, does Benji even want to visit his father? Find out in this book called Clues to the Universe by Christina Lee. Okay, my next book is called 13s, which is the first that's going to be in a series under the series title called Secrets of Edeneld, and this is by Kate Alice Marshall. Every 13 years in the town of Edeneld, 3 13-year-olds disappear, and other people in town forget these 3 even existed. After Eleanor's mom tries to kill her, Eleanor moves to Edeneld to live with an aunt and an uncle. She starts to notice strange things like an ancient grandfather clock outside of her room that runs backwards, and a dog with glowing red eyes which follows her around. Seems no one else can see the same things as Eleanor does, or so she thinks. Turns out her new friends Pip and Otto see these strange things too, and they help Eleanor find ways to survive in this new town. They find supernatural disturbances in a book of fairy tales about a curse of 3 13-year-olds disappearing on Halloween. Can the 3 friends break the curse? Where will this series take us? Let's see what happens by reading this book, 13s, by Kate Alice Marshall. Okay, on to my next book. Houdini and Me. Let me show you the cover real quick here. Oops. Houdini and Me by Dan Gutman. Harry Houdini, who died in 1926 from a ruptured appendix, is considered the most famous escape artist magician of all times. Harry Mancini has always admired Mr. Houdini to the point of knowing everything about the escape artist. In fact, the modern Harry even lives in Houdini's old house and has always wanted to perform one of Houdini's tricks. So when Houdini starts texting the younger Harry, what's a boy to do? If you said reply, you're right. At one point, Houdini said if he can find a way to come back to life after he died, he'll find the way. Houdini asked Harry to switch places with him for an hour. And the younger Harry finally gets a chance to perform one of Houdini's famous acts. So maybe you're thinking, okay, now what? Does Houdini want more from Harry? Should Harry do more than 1 hour? You'll enjoy reading another one of Mr. Gutman's good stories, Houdini and Me, by Dan Gutman. Okay. Okay. Simon B Ryman by Dwayne Reed. Mr. Reed is a Chicago teacher whose virtual book to school music video, Welcome to the Fourth Grade, took the internet by storm. In fact, he wants to inspire young readers to use their voice to create change in their communities. Simon Barnes dreams of becoming a world-famous rapper. For now, he's in 5th grade and afraid to use his voice and small for his age. Simon lays low at school until his new teacher assigns the class an oral presentation of something that affects the community. Now he needs to face his fears. Can he rap his way to an A to prove that one kid can make a difference? Come read this story to find out what Simon feels his community needs and how he can make a change for the positive to his community. And again, this is called Simon B Ryman by Dwayne Reed. And now, my last story is called The Comeback by E.L. Shin. Let me see if you can see this. The Comeback by Jane E.L. Shin. And this is another great own voice story about a spunky young girl and her desire to land the perfect landing, whether on the ice, in school, or in her personal life. While facing racism because of her Chinese ancestry, Maxine looks inward to learn how she can identify. Is she non-binary, lesbian, straight, and an ice skating champion? Glide along with Maxine to see if she can rise above the pressure of life and overcome bullying. And again, this is called The Comeback by E.L. Shin. And if you haven't signed up for our summer reading program, which is called TALES, T-A-I-L-E-S, and TALES, T-A-L-E-S, please do so by going to our website and registering in Beanstack. So I want to thank everyone again for joining me for our Children's Readers Advisory. Thank you.